now Trump is mobilizing the California National Guard.
Yeah, because he can't do the Oregon National Guard.
Right. And in the process of doing that, today said Portland is burning down to the ground. Okay, we're here. There's one block. There's how many people here? Like, I don't know, 100, 150?
Yeah, I think we could definitely chalk that one up to hyperbole. I think you and I would both agree on that one.
So why is the president doing that?
Why? Because he thinks Portland's a mess. That's his view. You know,
So he's going to mobilize.
There's been a demonstration
Guard.
here for how many days? Riots, protests here
Months.
for how many days? Months. There's a school that's fleeing. The storage over there. There's a school that left. The storage unit facility is not renewing a lease. It seems like it's affecting this area. I don't know. Is it crazy to say he wants it under control?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In
Why is that
terms
crazy?
of mobilizing the National Guard to bring people here, like in that kind of fashion, against American citizens. I mean, it's just insane.
Who says it's against the American citizens? When it comes to the National Guard, right? They're not going to be like out here patrolling the streets and stuff. You have them coming to a federal facility. What's wrong with that in your view?
Well, why are people coming here?
What?
Why are people coming here?
You're with the group, and you'd have to tell me that one. But I would assume, if I were to answer your question, anti-ICE protest. That's what it's about. People are allowed to do that, obviously, right? We support the First Amendment. That's amazing. But when it comes down to, using federal agents, coming out here, making room for federal vehicles coming in and out, they're not supposed to be used for that, right?
I think we're missing the point. Is the reason people?
Oh, sorry. What am I missing? My bad.
The reason people are out here is because ICE has become basically the Gestapo in this country.
Gestapo?
And, yes.
Why do you say that?
Because they're
hunting down Jews?
Snatching people off the street. They're masked.
Yeah.
And
what's their job?
They're detaining people without any semblance of due process.
Well, due process varies when it comes to immigration enforcement. It's not criminal, it's a civil proceeding. It's an administrative process. So there's different degrees of it, of course. It's not held to the same standard as criminal.
And the president has tried to get these people out of the country
hold on.
before they can get a hearing.
Hold on, what is ICE's job?
I mean, in my opinion, ICE should not exist.
What is it supposed to be? ICE shouldn't exist?
No.
Why is that? They do check-ins for unaccompanied minors, making sure that they're not sexually abused. They do all sorts of investigations. They do investigations on illegal gangs being in the country.
ICE in its current form is a militarized police force that is being used against the people of this country.
Against the people? How so?
I mean, like
citizens you're talking about?
We can go around and around. There we go. There's a nice.
What do you think about that? You like that?
I like that.
Let's show that. Show the. There you go. All right, Eric, back here. So, hold on. ICE's job is to enforce immigration law, right? So when it comes down to it, you're talking about them, picking up illegal immigrants? What's the problem with that?
They're not enforcing immigration law.
How are they not?
Because they are taking people without due process. That's what I'm saying. Like, you have a Fifth Amendment. The Fifth Amendment applies to all persons. It doesn't matter that people are not citizens. And so when Trump puts people and tries to get them on a plane, out of the country, to a country they are not from, before a judge can make any kind of decision, you think that's a functioning democracy?
Well, I think you're not understanding how much due process illegal immigrants get in the United States, and I don't think you understand the administrative process of immigration enforcement. So basically, if people get collected at the southern border, there's zero due process. They're picked up, turned away. Now, when it comes to being inside the United States, there's expedited removal processes that have been here for less than 2 years, different degrees of due process. Is your biggest issue with the Alien Enemies Act? I'm just trying to throw you a bone to understand what you're saying here. Because you brought up the plane going over places. Are you talking about the Alien Enemies Act?
I'm talking about people who are not under the expedited removal. There's a lot of people who are being taken. I mean, look what happened in Chicago the other day. Just like, is that what we want in America?
What specifically are you talking about? Like people assaulting ICE agents?
Helicopters?
Ramming their cars into them?
Oh my God, I'm done.
Helicopters? You're saying, okay, no, what's... If they're conducting an immigration raid, what is your problem with that when it comes?
The entire apartment building is detained.
That Tren de Aragua, one of the most violent gangs in the United States, this is what the raid was for, right? It was frequented by Tren de Aragua gang members. If that is true, would you support the
And
raid?
I suppose you thought like Haitians were eating dogs in Ohio.
Let's stay on track here.
It wasn't widespread, but there are several videos of it happening.
I don't know about that. When it comes down to it, though, are you pivoting and changing the subject because you don't want to address what I'm saying there?
No, because
So
I
you want to
think
stay on track
a
with the
lot of
topic
what
then?
you're saying, you're like really good at what you do in terms of being an agent provocateur.
I'm not. This is a very, consensual conversation here. Well, question for you guys. Have you ever Googled yourself and found how much personal information was publicly available? It's actually insane. Maybe it was an old address, your personal number, or other details you didn't expect to find. I know many of you guys are like me and want your personal information to remain private. Check this out. Here are data broker websites trying to share my private information and failing miserably. This is because of today's sponsor, Aura's data broker monitoring and opt-out features. Aura will help remove your personal information. They have identity theft protection, a VPN, financial fraud protection where you can get alerted in minutes when your credit file has been compromised. Like if somebody tries to open credit cards and loans in your name, you instantly lock your Experian file with a tap for fast security. With Aura, your data is safeguarded using the same security standards as banks and the military. Plus, Aura will never sell your information to a third party, which is obviously crucial. And I get this all in one app at one affordable price, which is pretty cool. I don't leave myself and my family vulnerable to data breaches and brokers, and if you don't want to either, you can go to aura.com/James Klug and you can try 14 days for free. Eric, look at this really quick. That's kind of neat. Anyways, you guys, I highly recommend doing this because that'll be enough time for Aura to find out if your personal information has been exposed and sold. Thank you, Aura, for sponsoring this video. I will put a link down in the description below. What is your problem with what happened? I'll play with you on that one. Look, if they screwed up, and let's say it's no Tren de Aragua, and they just raided an apartment complex because, what? Fill in the blank.
Where's the evidence?
What, they screwed up?
Where's the evidence?
So, I mean, according to the administration, they said that they arrested 2 members right now. Yeah, I mean, I usually give them like a week and a half to get information out.
How believable is this administration when they sit there and say, Portland is on fire and burning to the ground?
I would say that there's precedent for evidence when it comes to transparency of who they're arresting, right? They arrest criminal gang members that are in the country illegally, sexual predators, child rapists, all that stuff. It's public information. You can check it out. So I would say that... Is it? Oh, for sure. 100%, yeah. I think they've actually been doing... In my opinion, so right? I know we disagree.
Can you send me the evidence of Portland burning down to the ground?
Well, now you're changing the subject again. No, because what I just said was very important when it comes to the job that ICE does and immigration enforcement takes care of.
It's not believable because Trump lies every time he opens his mouth.
Yeah, he definitely is hyperbolic. I'll give you that one for sure.
He's not hyperbolic. He is a liar.
When it comes down to this, I mean, I think a lot of people, we've talked to people in Portland that are looking at this saying, hey, I'm a taxpayer, and the police aren't getting this under control, and a school had to flee, and this is happening 100 days straight, and it's disturbing the communities, and there's businesses locally, right? Police state.
Yes.
So what has changed when it comes to immigration enforcement? What, the ramp up? Because this has always been ICE's job, is deporting people that are in the country illegally. They've always done federal operations with gang members that are in the country illegally.
Have they always done it completely masked and snatching people, breaking windows and cars with children in the back seat?
You talking about the one that was in Chicago recently?
There's been multiple.
Yeah, so that guy was evading police. He was deported once already. He was a criminal and a known criminal that was a targeted arrest. He fled the police he fled federal agents, and that video that you're talking about is the one that you're most likely talking about.
Don't know if we're talking about.
Do you have a problem with them going after, let's say, a criminal that's re-entered the United States illegally? Do you have a problem with that, really?
I mean, do we have a problem with
a
president who's convicted 34 times?
We can change the subject and we can talk about that later, right after. In fact, what do you think about us addressing one topic at a time, and then we can talk about all the other stuff you want to talk about?
No, I'm saying if you care about law and order, you seem to care about one part. Immigration. That's what you care about.
That's not true. We're just talking about things and you keep changing the subject.
No.
Yes, that's exactly what you're doing.
I'm saying that you care about...
And I think you're doing it to avoid answering the question when it comes to actually holding people accountable. So, okay, fine, we can move on. Let's go on to the lawfare. Let's go... Let's talk about the lawfare that you want to talk about.
How about holding...
Lawfare against Donald Trump.
How about holding all the people responsible for January 6th accountable instead of letting them out of prison?
Accountable for let's talk about that one. You want to talk about that one? Well, you want to talk about the lawfare against Donald Trump, or you want to talk about January 6th?
what I'm saying, if you think, okay,
Because you were using that as an argument against him. I mean, that was obvious lawfare when it comes to weaponizing the legal system against Donald Trump, elevating charges against their political opposition, which is, by the way, a significant part of fascism. You know?
no.
Yes.
He sat there.
Forcible oppression of your political opposition.
He sat there and incited people for 50 minutes, and then he went and attacked the Capitol. And
Incited people? How did he incite them? When did he tell them to go do that?
he sat there and told him, he was like there for 50 minutes saying, you got to fight for your country or you're going to lose it.
Okay.
I think
Where did he tell them to go to the Capitol and raid the Capitol?
He said, go to the Capitol and I'm going to march with you, which he didn't.
And what did he say after? He said, and peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard. No,
In 50 minutes.
in that quote that you're talking about right there.
Once in 50 minutes, he went on a tirade about you're losing your country. And one time in 50 minutes, he said, be peaceful.
Where did he call for them to go raid the Capitol? Because you said he incited it. How did he incite it? There was a direct call to action on that?
By raging for 50 minutes in an agitated crowd.
Yeah, that's not incitement to violence right there. You can say that's inflammatory rhetoric, and perhaps we can have a conversation about that. But as for incitement, you think where did he tell them to?
If Portland is burning down to the ground, then that was incitement. I mean, give me a break. Like
We're talking about okay, well, he was inciting violence, and then hold on, this has nothing to do with what we're talking about here. Incitement to violence is, there's legal definitions for this stuff. So when it comes down to, he should be held accountable for that, it can't just be your opinion. It has to be, no, did he call for people to commit violence? Did he? And when?
Do you think you have to make an explicit call for it to be an incitement?
Yes, generally speaking, yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
Or you have,
like for example, if I said, bear with me, okay? If I said, hey, I don't like this guy right here, which I would never say because you seem like a friendly guy, okay? But let's say I said, hey, I don't like this guy right here. He is a jerk and he shuts down conversations and he's a part of this protest, blah, 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 blah. And because I said that, or maybe not, somebody comes over here that maybe agrees with me and hits you in the face. Did I call for that? Did I condone that? No, I don't condone violence against my opposition or somebody that I'm interviewing. So you understand how that's not incitement to violence? That would be more of criticism. Does that make sense?
Are you the president of the United States?
No, yes, I am actually.
So do you think that
Yes,
carries maybe a little bit more?
I think, okay, look, when it comes to political rhetoric and when it comes to all that stuff, yes, I do think so. That's fair enough. But I'm not going to go ahead and say, he told them to go do it, because that's a lie.
You had people...
You can't even give me an example of where he told them to go do it.
On January 6th, being recorded basically saying what the president is saying in real time. Like, they were inspired by what he said. They were incited by what he said. And then they attack the Capitol.
You still can't prove to me that he told them to go attack the Capitol. And actually, really quick, this guy's a January 6er. And a lot of it was lawfare against January 6ers for sure. Absolutely.
So, the people who beat cops in with fire extinguishers.
What do you mean in Portland you do that, you get released the next day? You don't get 10 to 15 years in prison. I mean, for him, he went, my camera guy, this is Eric, by the way, he's a really friendly guy, photojournalist, went in there, into the Capitol, peaceful. He was peaceful the entire time. And he got sentenced, how long did you get sentenced for?
Sentenced to 4 years, but because I went to trial, you get a resentence after you do your time, and they can up the more time.
It kind of sounds like more of lawfare than anything reasonable.
They were threatening me with 20 plus years.
20 plus years for going into the Capitol and taking photos. Does that seem reasonable? Shouldn't he have... I would say that I'm very glad that he's out of prison. What do you think about that?
Well, one, I'm like, I don't know your case, so I can't really speak to that.
If it were to be true, what I'm saying, would you say, good, I'm glad he's out of prison. I'm glad Trump pardoned him. What do you think?
I would want to know more before I would say that. But the problem is you had people who were violently assaulting police officers, the same people who
they went to prison,
who ostensibly say, Blue Lives Matter. But when it comes to January 6th, it's just like, apparently I'm not Blue Lives Matter anymore. I will attack these police officers. And all of those people who were violent against police officers were pardoned by Trump, which is basically saying, okay, I guess you're allowed to attack police officers.
They went to prison for years for it.
Well, they didn't serve. They
served the sentence.
Pardoned.
He didn't serve his 20-year sentence for going in there peacefully with a camera. A lot of these people that I don't condone violence, but when it comes down to it, look, I'm not going to support somebody getting 15 frickin' years for if they like punched a police officer or something. There's people here, again, in Portland, if you were to do that here at a ICE facility or something like that, you were to hit Portland PD, you'd probably be out tomorrow, okay? You might serve some time in jail, and you should go to jail for that, obviously, of course. I think you and I hope both agree on that. But what they were doing is they were grabbing obscure charges, connecting those to people to give them as much time as possible, hunting them down with the full power of the DOJ. So yeah, I mean, you know, for the people that were assaulting cops, I think they should have gone to prison. And then the overwhelming majority, 99%, they had charges slapped on them that were absurd. What was yours called?
Obstruction of an official proceeding.
Yeah, it's like it's barely even a thing, and they just slapped it on him to give him prison time.
Barely even a thing. We were just trying to overturn the results of a valid election. I mean, barely a thing.
He was in there taking photos.
Yeah, a lot of other people weren't. There were people going through the hallways.
It's not how you stop an election, but you know, that's what they tried to slap people with. It's like people walked into the Capitol, and even the people that were peaceful, they were saying, "Oh, you tried to overthrow the government," because apparently, you know,
Well, I mean,
that's how you overthrow the United States government.
Senator Josh Hawley was really running for his life, so.
Hey, let's talk about the lawfare for Donald Trump really quick, because you were bringing up his 34 felony counts. You think that was reasonable?
Yes.
The district attorney, you know who it was? It's okay if you don't.
It's the one he's trying to bring charges against with mortgage fraud.
Alvin Bragg is who it was. He ran on getting Donald Trump. He ran on getting him. Do you think that, first of all, do you think that's targeted when it comes to a biased district attorney? And do you think that's how our law is supposed to be?
Well, it's, I don't think anybody should be running on any sense of against somebody for trying to put them in jail.
No, I mean, that's your honest opinion. Okay.
Also, those offices are elected. So it's not an appointed office, and so you're going to have a different aspect of things when it's an elected office.
Would you call that lawfare or no?
No.
Targeted prosecution? No?
No.
No. Okay, so if a district attorney in Portland ran on getting you, what was your name again? You think that would be lawfare? Would you be like, okay, this isn't fair, that the justice system is targeting me? What do you think?
Well, I haven't been someone like Donald Trump my whole life, so.
Well, you could be, though. We could just make an accusation, and you could be, you know?
Yeah, that's why people get due process.
Yeah. We're talking about criminal right now?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Not an administrative process, so different conversation from earlier that we were talking about. But it would be similar if they were prosecuting illegal entry and stuff like that.
Doesn't apply to administrative proceedings?
There's varying degrees, so you get less due process in many cases for an administrative process, yeah. Which I think a lot of people don't understand. It's important that we educate people on that. You know, like I said, I gave a couple examples of that. You know, hey, arriving at the border, essentially picked up, returned, zero due process, essentially. But we don't need to get back into that. When it comes down to the lawfare, the reason I say that is you have a district attorney that ran on getting Donald Trump. You have a judge that donated to Democrats, anti-Trump organization. You had the judge's family leveraging the case to raise money for Democrats. It gets even worse than this, actually. When it comes down to it, Alvin Bragg downgraded 60% of felonies in 2023, but he made an exception for breaking precedent for the President of the United States, the former President of the United States, and elevated that misdemeanor to a felony by connecting it to election law. You think that's reasonable?
Did Trump?
It sounds like he's really reaching for it.
Did Trump
the way
inflate
that
his assets?
Huh?
Did Trump inflate his assets?
This is a different. These aren't even the same trials that we're talking about here. Do you know why he got 34 felony counts?
Yes.
Why?
Why? Remind me. I am a little like.
Well, you just said yes.
You're going all over the place.
No. I've been very consistent on what case I'm talking about. I'm talking about the New York case here with District Attorney Alvin Bragg and Judge Merchan.
And what was it?
So we don't know what it was, right? And I'm not trying to dunk on you here. I'm just clarifying.
Yes, you are trying to dunk.
Simple question. You don't know why you got felonies, right?
I do, but
okay. Tell me what's going on.
I'm done. I'm done.
Done filming?
Yep.
Okay.
I'm just a little agitated.
Okay. Thanks for the time you gave me. Good conversation. Good to go.